Hi, it's Alison Chester-Lambert. I'm an astrologer and I'm here to talk about the astrological forecast and the astrological weather report for November. And an interesting time it is too, really. I want to talk about not just November, actually. I probably want to go back a little while into October as well, because there is a particular feature happening in the sky right now, which I think gives us some clues as to what we should be paying attention to, what we should be tuning into. And it's a difficult one for all of us because it requires us to do something that means do nothing. And I think this is where a lot of our problems come these days. Let me just go back over a few things. Let's just talk about the beginning of this century. We have been part of a technological and digital explosion. And everything that is forward thinking, everything that is growth, if you like, this very fast track digital and technological speed train that we seem to be on, where computer power doubles every 18 months and phones now do unimaginably complex things that 5 years ago they couldn't do. All of that is masculine energy. Anything that is forward thinking, anything that goes into the future, anything that is inventive, requires action, this is all the masculine polarity, so the yang polarity. Now, a polarity, so two, dual, means we have an opposite to that. And so we have an energy, yin, the feminine, which is not about looking forward and expanding outwards like electromagnetic radiation. This is something that pulls in. So the gravitational pull of the earth is a yin energy. So yin and feminine pull in, masculine yang push out. So the feminine pulls back into the past. It is regressive, but it is also to do with the dark, loss, dying. And so if we are to move into feminine energy, which is what we are doing at the moment, we can expect to have experiences of losses and end of times. So it's all about that, but it's also about being meditative, if I could say it. It's also about reflection and quiet repose. It's about coming into the center. And then here's the big one, if you can get this. It's about doing nothing. See? Nothing. Get it? It's about listening to a voice within. Now, in my world, the soul is a water entity, and it is therefore quiet and it is feminine. And in my world, what happens is the spirit, which is fire-based and very masculine and fills us full of confidence and joy and optimism for the future. So the spirit and the mind, which is analytical and always sort of chattering away there with new ideas and communication, etc. The spirit, so fire, and the mind, air, the two masculine elements, they take over the body and they chatter all the time. And so the soul, very quiet and a water-based, so feminine energy that pulls in and is silent, we never get to hear it. All we hear is this masculine chatter. So in order for us to shut down our minds and shut down spirit temporarily, don't want to do it for too long, otherwise it would get very kind of depressive. But in order for us to do that, we have to go within and be in silence, be in complete quieten the mind, be mindful. And this is the requirement of this time. The sky is indicating a lot of feminine energy. So if we're to be in tune with that, what we need to be thinking about is being reflective, being quiet, having downtime, and processing things, feelings, emotions, or just processing silence. It's about not thinking about the future. It's about resting in what we have become. It's not about just being, really. Now we have very shortly the new moon in Scorpio. So that means the sun and the moon standing together in Scorpio, but they do so at the very centre of the zodiac sign of Scorpio. It doesn't get more deep and more feminine than that. And so if we are to be in that energy, then what we have to be is quiet, reposed, and experiencing something which is not usual for us to experience and hasn't been so far this century. We are, in order for us to keep up with everybody else, we get into this technological stuff and we figure out stuff on our phones, but that is not being in the feminine, that is being in the masculine permanently. Now, life itself tends to, the seed of one is in the other, so it tends to be like a coin. So if you get masculine energy, you'll always find feminine on the reverse. But it's difficult for me to see what is the feminine reaction or the reverse of the technological and digital age, whether it's always high-powered communication. It can only be lack of communication and quiet, and we don't naturally get it. Now, if we get a war, for instance, and it's a masculine aggressive energy war, killing is involved, and the killing and the dying give us that feminine experience. The one comes with the other. But this kind of technological and cyber growth doesn't naturally have what nature would give it, the other reflection. So we have to bring that in ourselves. Well, we don't have to, a lot of people won't. But my advice this month and this time is to do nothing as often as possible. To get into and try to find a listening of the soul. With whatever it has to say, really, just sort of being aware of doing nothing and shutting down the spirit and the mind and just listening to whatever's there would be useful, even if there's not a lot. I guess we can reach this in sleep, perhaps, but mind and fire can still be going in sleep. Meditation, perhaps, but mind and fire can still be going that. But do what you can anyway, because I can't describe it, because if I'm describing it, I'm using words. They're a masculine process, and it has to be described with feeling and instinct and intuition. We have the influence of Neptune, which is a feminine water energy, acting on the USA and the UK a great deal at the moment. And what this means is it's putting us into a disorganised, confused state where we can't really get a sense of direction, where we feel either victimised or we feel wounded, perhaps, where there is a pining and a yearning and a longing for something that we can't reach, where things are not ideal, but we want to get them into this ideal place that we can envisage, but every time we reach towards it, it just moves away or disappears like fog. So we can at the moment be filled with sadness, confusion, feeling that we're being rubbed out, that our ideals and our principles are not being followed. This is all the effect of Neptune on the American birth chart, and it can make America feel very confusing and very lost at the moment, and the same will come up with the UK just in the new year, just as we get into January. This is a feminine feeling, and so it helps for us all to get into that place and be at one with it, to simply be. Years ago, they had women who would stay with a dead person to just be, to be in the death moment, to be in the dying moment, to be in that calm repose. Now, we don't have to sit with those of us that are deceased at the moment, but we need to get into that feeling, if you see what I mean. So it's that feeling that is missing, and we need to get that feeling in order to get the full rounded experience that we are supposed to get in this life. Anyway, well, and getting there hopefully brings a sense of peace. It should bring a sense of completion. It is the missing bit at the moment in this century, so it's good to get into. I hope that was useful for you. So my name's Alison Chester-Lambert. I'm an astrologer. It's been great to talk to you. My next slot with Spiritcast is in December, and it will be from Asia. It will probably be from Thailand, which is where I think I am at that moment. I think, anyway, depending when it is, I'll have to check the date. And it will be great I'll try to do it from one of their temples, which would be fascinating if I could show you around the temple. We'll see what happens. But I look forward to that, and I hope you all have a peaceful and very cuddly inner time where you get to your inner. Peace to everybody. Namaste. Lovely to talk to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.